Welcome to this, I think it's the fourth video now, in which I'm trying to make an LED illuminated letter. I've already got the S, here it is. I've talked about that previously. I'm now making a more complicated font A. It's going to be a serif A, and in my previous videos I basically created this engineering drawing, technical drawing with all these dimensions of exactly what I want my A to look like. And what I'm now going to be doing is taking that into Fusion 360. So 2D design on the left here is for laser cutting the acrylic, in this case the purple acrylic window, and Fusion 360 is for creating the 3D model, which will create this 3D printed extrusion, which will hold the LEDs and basically provide all the structure for the light. Okay, now first things first, in Fusion 360, with this S that I made, let's bring up the other S that I had, the other CAD file here. The origin for the sketch in Fusion 360 is here, and that's really important. We can start the origin, and I've chosen it to be there because it's a nice clear reference point for the S. The S in this particular style anyway doesn't have any clear kind of corners. Yes, there's a corner there and a corner there and up here, but you know, there's not like a corner literally in the bottom left corner of the letter. And that's why instead, because the S is, in my S here, is themed around circles, I've got the center of the circle here to be the origin. So in my 2D design here, it wasn't clear that that point is the origin of the design. Effectively, this is the origin of this kind of this square, but it made sense when I put it into Fusion 360 that that's what I do. Now, let's just minimize this and let's have a look at my A that I'm now going to create. A more complicated technical drawing, and it's obvious in my mind now that the origin does go in the bottom left and everything is going to be built out from there. And hopefully you can see with my dimension lines that I did in my previous tutorial that everything is kind of referencing back to this bottom left point, and that's going to be very important. So back to Fusion 360 here. What I'm going to do here is start a new design by clicking on that little plus there. And the first thing I'm going to do here actually is I'm going to save this. And I've already got a location here called LED display. In fact, let's just cancel that for a second. Let's just have a look at the data panel, which is this panel here. And if I just come back one level, okay, then you can see in here that, yeah, those are all my projects. I've already got one here called, was it LED strip light? No, it wasn't that one. Oh, dear me, what was it called? Okay, I'm going to pause. Okay, there we are. I paused and found it. LED display stand. There it is. I've got my illuminated S version 1, version 2. That was an initial attempt there, just taking a font. And as I've said previously, it didn't work. So that's why I did this engineering drawing using, you know, polylines, arcs, circles to make sure things are perfect. And what I'm going to do is make sure that I save this project into this display stand menu. Notice I can make a new project in here if I want to. And as the previous one was called Illuminated S, I'm going to call this Illuminated A version 1. I love version numbers. Oh, sorry, yeah, this is version 1 because of course version 2 was my S. Okay, we're looking good. Confirm. Right. Okay, good. I'm 4 minutes in and I've not done much so far, have I? Let's click on that little matrix or the waffle there to make the data panel disappear, and I'm going to start making this A. Here we go. Fusion 360 works with a 3D environment with 3 basic work planes, and if I come to expand this menu here and turn on this light bulb for the origin, I can now see my work planes. Okay, now as my final product here is going to be, in my mind, standing up vertically on a desk, I want to imagine that this is going to be on the front work plane, not the top work plane or the right or the left work plane, but this front work plane. So when I'm looking at it from the front, that's what I see. So let's come back to here. My front work plane, here's front, That's the work plane that I want to work with. I'm going to create a new sketch here, and as I had the front work plane selected, we're straight in. In fact, I'm actually just going to undo that, and instead now I'll go create work plane, and notice now it's asking me which work plane I want to work with, and again I'm going to select this front work plane. There we go, I'm ready to go again. Notice now that I've got a new sketches option here. I'm going to actually turn the origin off there. I've got my sketches option. I've got a new sketch happening here on this work plane, and in my history bar here I've got sketch 1. This is super important. Fusion 360 is essentially it's really straightforward, but there's a few things you've got to get your head around. I'm hoping it's all going to make sense. Now I'm going to be building up this A in this sketch work plane, and if I just zoom out a little bit here and then, so I'm using the wheel mouse here to zoom out, and then wheel mouse again to zoom in here, that's going to be my origin. That corresponds to this point right here. Okay, so let's see what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a line, and the first line I'm going to do is going to be, okay, let's stop for a second there. Why isn't that working? Why is it clicking there? Okay, I'm escaping. Let's try that again. Line 2. Right, that was weird. Can you see how now it's snapping to the origin? Wasn't doing that a second ago. Very strange. Let's make this the horizontal line across here. Let's do this. So it's going to come straight across. So 0 degrees horizontally, and the dimension here wants to be 52.5. So I'm going to dial in there 52.5, and I'm going to press enter. That's that first line done. Okay, now I can come back up to here and click on line. Notice that it says that the shortcut for line is L. In the brackets just below, in that little drop down box that appears, it says line parenthesis L. So if I press L, I get a new line. I want to come up here. This is 90 degrees to the horizontal. This is going to be 17.5 millimeters. Again, I'm looking across here at what's happening with my 2D design file. Enter. New line. Click. Going to come up 17.5, new line, L, enter. Right, that's rocking and rolling. I'm really happy with that. Let's now see if I can do this arc. So let's have a see. How am I going to do this? I can do arcs. Center point arc. Normally I would do a circle, but you know what? I'm going to try and do an arc here. Let's have a see. This wants to be 15 millimeters above up here. So if okay, why did it appear up there? I clicked down there and it appeared there. I'm going to escape that and try and do that again. Arc, center point. Yeah, look, it's the point of reference isn't following my mouse. That is just very strange. I'm going to escape that. What on earth is going on? Let's just try and recalibrate this window. Let's have a see. Arc. Yeah, it's not doing it either. Okay, so I'm just going to go with my original plan. I'm going to do a circle. Let's keep things simple. Let's do a circle here. And again, this is all over the place, but not where I want it to be. Maybe if I zoomed in and out there, that kind of seemed to fix it. Okay, now this is a bit strange, but I'm going to do a circle over here, and this wants to have a diameter. Radius is 15. Again, you can see it here. So therefore, diameter wants to be 30. Now that's clearly not in the right place. So now what I'm going to do is get a dimension line. Sketch dimension, or press D, and I'm going to specify the distance between the center of this circle and this point here to be 15 millimeters. Now, I've not got that specifically placed on there, but I know the radius is 15. So as this arc sweeps around, I know that the distance from this tangent, or this intersect, should I say, to this center of the circle is going to be 15 millimeters. And also notice this is blue. This means that this circle is not fully constrained, which means it's a floating circle. It could go anywhere. If I click on the center of that circle and then I click on this point here, bring that across and specify that to be 15, it brings it into position, and I thought it would have made that circle fully defined. Let's escape button there. Why isn't that circle still fully defined? Look, I see what's happening here, because I've not defined that as being aligned vertically against this edge. Fascinating. Okay, how would I do that? Okay, well, you know what? Yeah, I know what I could do. I could select this, and I could select this point here. And if I come to my sketch palette options, I can make sure that they are horizontally aligned. Oh, that was awesome. Okay, I like that a lot. Oh, cool. So now it's turned black because it's fully defined. If I click on this and I try to move it around, it doesn't move. It's locked, and it's locked via these dimension lines to the origin. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to try and do this arc here. No, this arc here, sorry. From this line here, I'm going to try and do that instead using the arc tool. Let's see if that works. So I'm just going to define any old arc here. 15 millimeters. And ooh, that's clever. But no, I don't like that. No, forget it. I'm not going to do that. Undo. I'm going to go back to my circle again. You know, you can have fun trying to work that out if you want to, but I'm going to keep life simple. In fact, you know what I could do here? Could I select that circle, copy paste, bring that across to here? That's pretty awesome. Now, I've not actually got a dimension on here, but I can see here that I'm 2.5 millimeters off. So maybe I can just bring this in here and put that to 52.5. Hey, that looks good. Let's just drop that there. And again, I need to make sure that that point and this point, sketch palette, are going to be horizontal and vertical. Okay. And it also wants to have that dimension line there as well, doesn't it? Maybe what I'm also going to do is select that point there, and also make those horizontal. Okay, now that looks awesome. I'm liking that a lot. Now, there's a few weird things happening there. I could have just drawn the circle again, like I did for this one. But I'm trying to hang on a second, I'm losing my English here. Parametric modeling. Parametrically, thank you. Fusion 360 is a parametric modeling tool, which means that these dimension lines aren't just looking pretty. In 2D design, it's not parametric. These dimension lines here, they're useful, but if I change a line or an arc or the shapes of this main drawing here, the dimension lines do not automatically update. So I'm going to get a line here, and then I'm just going to draw a line roughly where I want it. Roughly like that. Okay. Right click and then OK. Oh, I could have pressed escape. OK. Now, it seems a bit strange, but again, because this is going to be parametrically driven, I'm going to use dimension lines to define and also some constraints to define what happens to this line. So let's come to the dimension line tool. I'm going to press D this time. And what I want to do is define where this top point relates to the origin in terms of this horizontal distance. Now I know that this is 57.5, so 57.5, okay, and I know that this height here is 150. So again, I'm going to go from this point here down to the origin, and I'm going to specify this to be 150. And that's just moved around. That's fine. I'm going to fix that right now. I'm going to escape, and now what I want to do is I'm going to select this line. I'm going to shift select this line, and in my sketch palette here, I want to make this into a tangent. Isn't that awesome? That's where it becomes a tangent with a circle. So all I'm going to do now is come to this trim tool, and I'm going to trim this back. He says, trim there, yes, and I'm going to trim there, yes. Now, for some reason, let's have a see what's that coming up there. It didn't trim straight away. I had to click twice there. There must have been some other feature that was working. If I undo that, the last thing I did was I trimmed that back, and it said there was some dimension constraint problem. Let's try that again. Notice that trim is also the T shortcut. If I trim that back, I had to click twice there. Once, twice, were removed during the operation, which there must have been something there about that connecting to this horizontal line. I'm not going to worry about it. Done. Okay, I'm going to stop at this point. We've been going for 16 minutes. What I'm going to do is the next video, I'm kind of more quickly do everything else.